Chicago, Kup Show with Irv Kupcinent.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the lively art of conversation, all spontaneous, all unrehearsed. We have four outstanding artists in the performing arts, and we'll touch on many subjects with these four gentlemen, each one a specialist. We'll discuss politics and drug abuse, television, the theater, the awards show, and the world we live in. Now let's meet our distinguished guests. First, this is Sammy Davis, Jr., often called the world's greatest entertainer. I think Groucho Marx was responsible for that expression. He currently is living up to his reputation, I should say, at the Holiday Star Theater in Maryville, Indiana, appearing with another great star, Bill Cosby, comedian, star of TV commercials, holder of a doctor's degree in education, and a Renaissance man. And incidentally, his new Bill Cosby Show will premiere this fall on NBC. And this is William Conrad, veteran actor, best remembered perhaps as the popular TV detective in Canon. He'll make his singing debut this week on public broadcasting's presentation of The Mikado. And Bill is in Chicago, starring in The Man Who Came to Dinner at the Drury Lane South Theater. And this is Dick Van Patten, popular actor who is a father figure in the TV series 8 is Enough. And we'll discuss father figures with Bill Cosby, who also is going to play a father's figure when he comes on television in the fall. Welcome, one and all. It's a pleasure to have the two co-stars of one show. How does Sammy Davis, Jr. and Bill Cosby work together, two superstars, in the same show? Isn't that a...
Very happily.
Very happily? No
Yes.
problem? No ego problems? No billing problems?
No billing problems. We had one billing problem. I wanted him to take it, and he wanted me to take it, and we tossed.
And who won?
I won. Yeah, but that also means that I go on first.
And Bill closes the show.
Bill closes the show.
And he interrupts you undoubtedly, once or twice at least.
Well, you should see the show. You got to see it because we have fun. I think that's the name of the game. Everybody, thank the good Lord, we're established enough that people know what to expect from us individually, but collectively, what we do on stage is fun.
Yeah. Last time I saw you work together in any kind of an ensemble, Sammy, you had a fellow named Frank Sinatra, a fellow named Dean Martin, Peter Losser, Joey Bishop, and Sammy Davis, Jr., the so-called Rat Pack. Has that group ever assembled in any form whatsoever?
Well, occasionally, Dean and Frank and I will get together to do a benefit. We've done two thus far this year. St. John's and St. John's Hospital, one for St. John's Hospital and one for Share, the big party out in California that all of our wives are connected with, all the people who live out there. And we have fun when we get together, but our careers do this. And of course, I did a picture. I've done two pictures with Dean, Cannonball 1 and Cannonball 2.
And also with with Frank, you made a picture or two, didn't you?
Yes, but Frank, that was a long time ago. But this is the first time. As a matter of fact, in Cannonball 2, Frank and Shirley MacLaine, Dean, and myself were together for the first time since Ocean's 11, which is back in 1960.
Mm-hmm. Bill, you're going to play a father, as I pointed out, as you're an obstetrician in a new show, The Bill Cosby Show, coming on Channel 5.
Yay!
You're going to have how many children in the show? 4 or 5?
Yes.
And Mr. Patten had 8 in his show, so maybe you can give him some ideas on how a father figure should handle himself in a TV show.
Yeah, well, I think you'll enjoy it. I love working with... I was a child actor, as Sammy was a child performer, and I think working with kids is terrific. I think they're very natural, and they're usually good. I think the success of 8 is Enough was largely due to the little boy, Nicholas, the one, Adam Rich. You know, he was really good. And all those kids were very talented, and I think that... well, you worked with my son Vincent on the other Bill Cosby show, remember?
Oh, sure.
And
sure.
That was always good.
I see him every now and then.
Yeah.
I mean, on the show when we run the
Really?
tapes. Yes. How old was your youngest kid in the show when he worked?
7.
He was 7.
Yes.
Oh, we have one. She's 4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh.
Concentration goes every now and then.
Yeah.
Goes. I mean, she just goes. I mean, if you give her where she has to stay in it for 2 pages,
but you know,
she may be in it for a third.
But usually kid actors come through. They always come through. You know, they're always the ones that are right there and sort of hold the show up.
I was talking to Jackie Cooper.
Yeah.
And Jackie was telling this other talk show host that they would do things to him to make him cry. Did they ever
Yeah, I
do
read
that
the
to
book.
you?
No, I read that book, and where they told him his dog was dying and it was just killed to make him cry and everything. No, I never had anything like that happen. In fact, I was treated very well as a kid. I had since I was 7 years old, I traveled all over the country in shows and everything. And I really, I'm glad that my mother made me an actor. I really
Bill, I said you're going to play an obstetrician. What's the premise of the show?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Really.
Good way to
I'm just tired of what I see on TV in terms of family situation. I'm tired because they're going out of their way to dream up something for people to look funny in their own apartment. My wife is a lawyer. I am an obstetrician. We have 5 children. My wife and I are quite successful with our professions and the way we handle things. And then when we get home, we're not that successful, which essentially is what happens in just about every home, regardless of the amount of money. And the only problem I think I'm going to have is for people to stop trying to project what is too much and just look at it. For instance, I have these intellectual writers who are trying to downgrade the profession that my wife is going to have. We feel that a doctor and a lawyer in the same home is too much. And, you know, it's really silly, because by the time I broke it down to them, the different aspects of law and what you can be doing as a lawyer, they then saw to it that, you know, somewhere along the line, their little minds were going too far to one end, too far to the other, and perhaps through tradition they were having a problem trying to accept a female being a lawyer and looking after her children. Also, if I can talk them into it, you never will really hear from the maid or the butler. I was telling Sammy of certain segments where you don't see your help in the house. They leave notes for you. I had to go to get the dog for this friend. Your food is in the oven, the thing is, and the bed is made up, and save it for tomorrow, Eleanor, and she's gone, you know. But one thing I wanted to say, nobody knows that this man here that I'm pointing to when the director finds out where I'm pointing, this man was also a child actor. But his voice was always like this. And there never,
Is that true?
he never had a...
I was never anything until Sammy taught me how to dance. That turned my whole career. Thank you again.
It also changed
I
his
like the way
voice.
you break dance too, Bill. You're beautiful.
Break dance? You break dance?
Oh, my God. Haven't you seen me break dance?
I've not seen this.
Really?
Well, give us a little
Well,
bit.
unfortunately, there's a rug, and I can't do that.
I understand.
Okay.
Let me go back to Mr. Cannon for Bill Conrad.
Cab Cannon
We're talking about television here, and some years ago you were quoted, Bill, as saying that all television is crap. Even the show Cannon.
You know, the last time I was on this show, you brought that.
I thought I'd bring it up again.
I wish you'd drop it,
Wasn't
Kup,
that
will you?
right after they had canceled one of his shows? They had canceled the show, and that's what you always say when your show is canceled.
Of course.
Everybody
right.
says
No,
that.
he said it before, though.
Yes, I did.
Before it went off the
Did you say
air.
that before?
Yes, I did.
I don't remember that.
Now to update
Well,
that,
you
Bill.
probably didn't see it.
Now to update, do you still feel the same way about television?
Yes.
Television is a lovely industry. I find it fascinating, and it takes up a lot of your time, and you make money out of it. And God bless television.
But you would not do another series.
No.
Why?
Yes, he would.
No, I would not.
Yes, he would. If I
would not, Bill. Honestly,
I'm telling
goodness, I
you,
would
when
not.
they come for you,
Yeah.
hey, they back that truck up with all that money, man.
Well,
And you look
depending
out,
on the size
and
of the truck. when it
See,
goes
that's
up.
what I'm talking about. And they pull that truck up, and then in the truck is all that money, and then you see that you can get another boat. Huh?
Listen,
Come
Willie,
on.
let me tell you something. I'm a little older than you gentlemen, and I'm tired. I like
Yeah.
to do things that I want to do that I've never had a chance to do, and that's the way I want to live it from now on.
What are some of the things you'd like to do that you haven't done before?
I want to do a whole bunch of musicals. I am so up on doing musicals, I can't tell you. I did Fiddler on the Roof last year, and
Funny thing, you don't look it.
well, that's the way it goes. At any rate, Sammy's a little sensitive about things like that. I wish you'd stop.
Funny you don't look.
But you are doing the Mikado this week. That's wonderful. That's a hell of a role. And probably the best of all the Gilbert and Sullivan operettas.
I would think so. The only thing about it is not a hell of a role. It's a bit part. It is nothing but the guy who gets the top billing always and has the smallest part and has the least to do of anybody. But it was fun doing it. I enjoyed it tremendously.
Sammy Davis made a comment here some time ago, which I think is very significant. I'd like to get all your opinions on it. Sammy once said that he has an insatiable desire, that was your word, insatiable desire, to do something so that you will not be remembered only as an entertainer. Is that about an accurate quote?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. You still feel the same way? And why do you think being an entertainer is not sufficient?
Well, I just meant on a humanistic level. You know, first of all, we would all like to think that we can contribute something as a human being. The fact that our art is to entertain, that's one thing. But what did you do as a human being? I don't mean magnificent, big, flag-waving things, but when you left, ma'am, did you leave anything, make it a little better for another human being? That's all. I'm not talking about, I want to do this and I got to do that. I'm just talking about, is it a nicer place because you were here? I think whether he ever made me smile or not, as a comedic brain, his thinking, his being as a human being on this planet, because of Bill, and I can honestly say because of I don't know these gentlemen as closely as I know Bill, but I would assume that Dick and Bill are the same way, that cause made it a better place. I mean by his being here. Not because he's Bill Cosby, but the fact his name could have been Jim Brown or, Joe Blow, whatever. But his demeanor as a human being has made it better. That's what I meant when I said, please let me leave something except he's the guy that sang Candyman. That's marvelous. But also, did I make it a little better for somebody? That's what I meant.
Well, I don't think anybody can complain with that or argue with that, except that you have to do a hell of a lot. You have to be great in some area to be remembered for more than the entertainer, because you've achieved such a success as all four of you have.
Well, for me, I didn't mean that what I should do beside the entertaining should supersede the entertainment. First and foremost, out there on this show, I'm here because I'm an entertainer, not because I'm a spokesperson for this, or I've written a fantastic book on the spheres or on anything like that. I'm here because I'm an entertainer. I never forget nor lose sight of that. But I would like to be remembered also for something else. First and foremost, they're going to remember me for the jewelry, whatever. But in other words, there's more substance to the human being in that. Yeah. There's more substance to him than Jell-O pudding. That's marvelous. And being able to communicate with kids. I had to laugh when we were talking, and Dick, I was laughing inside about his communication with kids and him asking the question. I don't know anyone in the world that communicates better with little people than he does. Because he does it. We see evidence of it with the Coke commercials. Because I asked him once, a few years ago, I said, Bill, what do you do with the kids? He says, well, I walk in, he says, we talk, he says, and I know right away who's going to be able to give me what I want, and we have fun with it. And he's been doing it most successfully of any of the guys. Yeah. And they seem like regular kids. I don't know if that's true or not. They're not. Are they all actors, Bill?
No. No. You can't call a 4-year-old kid an actor.
That's what I meant. See what I mean with the communication.
Are you satisfied, Bill, to be remembered only as an entertainer, or do you want to be remembered for anything else particularly?
No, I think the important people will probably be dead. My mother and father. And then comes my wife. And after that, the children, I don't know. They tend to write books about their parents after they're gone.
Yeah.
And have some things to say about them that are not too nice, Yet the only way they can make a living is to follow the tracks that their parents set out for them. So as far as I'm concerned, they're all loaded with some sort of bacteria. But my mother is having the time of her life.
Wonderful.
Because I am who I am. And whether the governor of Pennsylvania says it's Bill Cosby Day, I mean, whether that's a bunch of crap that has gone down and the man hasn't passed bills that are fair to lower economic people, for that particular moment, Anna Cosby looks and sees that that man being honored is her child, and it came out of her body, and it lifts her up spiritually out of the projects, out of scrubbing the floors, out of doing the windows, out of $8 a day. Now, it doesn't last too long because she forgets. I mean, not because of Alzheimer's, but because she's just not perfect, you know, and then she'll get on me because I didn't send flowers to some bridge club meeting she went to. But she's happy. She's really, really happy with what came out of her body, and I'm happy and proud that I could do that.
Yeah.
Great.
There you go.
Very important.
How about you, Mr. Conrad?
Oh, I feel basically like Sam does, I think, in that I would love to. First, I would love to be remembered for being an entertainer. I haven't even made that yet. But if I could achieve that, then, yeah, I think it's important to be something else. I think it's important to have done something that will affect somebody after you've gone. Yeah, I think that's vitally important.
You know, the funny thing about it, and I don't mean to cut you off, is that you asked a man who, at the zenith of his career, stopped and went back to get a PhD.
Yeah.
Now, he must have something else in mind. You understand what I mean? And him doing, that's why I admire him.
Yeah.
He didn't wait until the boat had sailed and said, well, now that it's getting, I ain't working Vegas and making all this money no more, I think I'll go back to school. In the middle of it, he went to do the thing that gave him a personal gratification, but also look what he's learned and he can pass on. That's what makes it a little better.
That's a very good point.
That's what I mean.
How
He
about
wouldn't
you,
say I
Dick,
said it.
before we go around the table on that subject?
I just hope I can be remembered till Tuesday. But actually, a lot of entertainers, great entertainers, like Al Jolson, W.C. Fields, Frank Fay, these are the greatest entertainers that ever lived. These men did not have great reputations.
No, they did
But
not.
that's all forgotten. These were not that great of men. But they still remembered as being great entertainers, and the other is all forgotten, you know?
But there's also one thing that Dick is not saying.
What?
And you can pull it out of him. There is something he would like to be remembered for. I don't know if it's too late, but this man would love to be. Ask him about his tennis. Yeah. Ask him about playing center court Wimbledon finals of the men's 55.
Yeah, that would be great.
Is that your-
you're right, guys.
Absolutely.
That would be-
Is that your Walter Mitty thing? You'd like to be a great tennis player?
Yeah, I have great respect for great athletes, you know, and especially tennis players, since my son is a professional tennis player. And so, yeah, you're right, Cos. That would be very exciting.
Let me go back to Mr. Cosby for a moment. Why did you go back to the University of Massachusetts to get a PhD degree in education? What
Well,
prompted
first
you?
of all, I just didn't go back for the PhD. I went back for my master's.
Oh,
I had something to say, and I think that graduate school is a place that after you've finished undergrad, if you have something to say, and I was fortunate enough that the business I was in, I really felt that there was something that was not covered, something that wasn't being done. And then I began to work at it, and that thing specifically was how to educate, aid the teacher, and still entertain. And working with Miss Cooney at the WCT or WTC, what is it? CTW, Children's Television Workshop.
yeah. Creator of Sesame Street, wasn't she?
Yes, and doing some of the things on Sesame Street, and then moving from that into the electric company, working with Rita Moreno and Morgan Freeman. I then went into a little deeper work with Fat Albert and a couple of other projects that I paid for. And it was even more and more interesting to see the positive aspects, and even more interesting to find out that the networks were not interested in it because all they could sell was cereal or syrup or Slurpees or whatever it is.
Yeah. So, that was it?
I think so, Irv.
Yeah.
It doesn't. See,
That's only the master's degree. Now, what about the doctor's degree?
Well, no, I did the master's, and then I continued on for the doctorate. But that's essentially what it says. See, once you get out of showbiz, the endings are not that great.
Hey, Willie, let me ask you something, may I?
Go ahead.
You're going back. Did that contribute in any way to this show that you got on called Bill Cosby?
Tremendously.
Well,
Tremendous.
it was well worth it. I got it. Have
way he
you
handles
seen
kids
this
is all-
show?
No,
Yeah.
he means the
I know.
one-man show.
But
It is the most
commercials.
brilliant
Yeah.
2 hours I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I sit in awe of you, young man. You're wonderful.
Well, thank you. It took many, many years, and of course, our business, Sammy's business of performing on the stage.
Yeah.
And now you're finding out, too,
Yeah.
because you're doing this. I don't know if the people can see this. Can he come in for a close-up? Do we have money for a Zoom?
Yeah. There we are. How
That's
about
as
that
close
for a
as we
Zoom,
can
Bill?
Where is that?
That's Bill there,
Oh, my goodness
Mikado.
sakes.
And what you find out, and what he has studied through the years, and what you've also found out sitting here as often as you sit, sometimes nobody's here, and you just practice talking.
Just here by myself.
Right. And pretending that this is all yours, and one day you'll have real people here. But the point is that what you saw is the result of studying 22 years and then bringing it to it. That is all I know right now up to 22 years. Now, 32 years from now, when I go to perform again, film it, do it, a different performance, a different way of doing it. But you know now that our business is one. There's no other business that I know of other than painting or perhaps writing, or where you can still keep going. Bob Hope, 81 years old,
Yeah.
you know, and whether he's creative or not, he's still doing it. Whether he's learning or not, he's still doing it. Whether he's searching or not, he's still doing it. I have a feeling that a man your age with Bob's quickness you'll still be learning. You'll still be uncovering things. He'll still be learning. This man, working with him, had a problem, a health problem, became healthier. Doctor took him off of this stuff. He's now singing songs and knowing what the meanings of the songs are again. Some of these things. I mean,
You
he's
remember singing them now.
Yes, I remember singing them.
Really and truly, man. You know, so, and it's beautiful. He's singing, and his notes, man. There are times when he's doing notes out on that stage, and I come out of my dressing room to see. I can't believe the size of the man and the note that's coming out of this bottle. And it's clear. It's not muddy. There's no wine in it. There's no scotch in it. You know, there's no cigarette smoke in it, man. It's a clear, and he's standing there and nothing's falling out. No muscles are popping out. You know, the seed bag is not rising and falling. His shoes are not curling up. He's hitting the notes, and he's got air in his lungs, and he's healthy now. Now, for how long he's going to do this? Until
Hopefully till the end of your run.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got to do that because I got the stuff locked up. No, he's cool, man. He can sit right in front of him.
Yep.
The booze is sitting right there. And Sammy will sit there and never touch it. cries like a baby, but never touches it. Man. So, Irv, what about your life?
Let me ask Sammy a question now.
Go ahead.
He's given a very good articulate description. You've been performing, Sammy, longer, I think, than anybody here. 55 years, as I recall your record. Aren't you getting tired of show business? Tired of getting on that stage and amusing Bill Cosby and other people?
No.
You're not.
But it's a qualified no. To work with Bill, not just because he's sitting here, is a joy. Because you're working with someone who respects an audience, who respects the profession that he's in, honors it by his being in it and contributing on a day-to-day, night-to-night, show-to-show basis. Whether there's 12 people or 12,000, it doesn't matter. So it's a joy for that, because that's the kind of thing that I was brought up in. When you work with certain people in this business, whether it be in film, and we've all enjoyed that marvelous flexibility of being able to say that we've done television, we've done film, we've done legitimate theater. Now he and I still have the sort of exclusivity on variety. We do still variety. But I've had all of those opportunities, and the only thing that I regret in my theatrical career is I wish my head, where it is now, was there 20 years ago. So I could have appreciated and savored the moments and not that I did a bad job, but I'm talking about up here, so I could have appreciated it more. I don't, thank the good Lord, I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't want to work places that I don't have fun. I don't want to work in little places that you go and you have to say, I never want to say as long as I live again, why am I here? What am I doing this for?
Go ahead.
Oh my God, why did I get booked into this place? Because if there's a shadow of a doubt, I say to Shirley Rhodes or to the Morris office, pass, I don't want to do it. And they go, but this is a lot of money. And I go, I don't care. I don't want to do it because I've been in it so long that to sit there and gridger yourself, to have spookus over it, doesn't give you any joy. And as long as I can avoid that, then I would like to entertain. I don't want to have somebody in the wings, however, saying to me at the age of 70, or how about 59, saying to me, come on. You. Who, me? Yeah, you. Get off the stage. Nobody cares anymore. But if you can go out there and give it a shot, hey, certainly I'm not breakdancing and I'm not flying around a room. But I don't think that people sit and go, oh my goodness, you remember how he used to be?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want that. And that's when I want to take a hike and become a director, a producer. I would love to be associated with the business in some way. And I'm working toward that end of it.
Well, forgive me, Sammy, but you ain't never going to get that, baby. You've got too much talent.
Well, thank you very much, Bill.
What do they say, Bill? Talent never retires?
I've never heard that phrase.
That's what they say.
Well, I've heard some people saying it should.
Yes, well,
Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Patten? You've been kind of quiet in this little round table discussion here. Do you have any feelings about working more and working where you want to work and when you want to work?
I've been working since I was 7 years old, in the theater. And in fact, this is fun for me to be in Chicago because the last time I was here with Lunton Fontanne for a year.
Oh, my goodness.
We were at the Selwyn Theater. And next door at the Harris Theater was Tallulah Bankhead in Private Lives with Donald Cook. That was 1948. And about 3 blocks away was Mary Martin and Annie Get Your Gun. They were all here together.
Jesus
And so I walked this morning, I walked down to see the old Selwyn Theater and the Harris Theater, and they're there, but they're just sort of obsolete now, It's sort of sad. There's 2 beautiful twin theaters.
Sleazy movie houses now.
Right. I felt very badly about that.
All of these things are change. They all change. Now, the buildings get taller. The only thing I'm interested in now is in the year 2025, when they decide that they have to take down an 87-story building, how are they going to do it? I'm going to smile now because I won't be here for the big mistake. But these guys are making taller buildings, and I keep looking at them and saying, how are they going to get them down? Now, I know a 4-story thing. You know, they put the dynamite around and the geniuses are there and they say, bam, and the thing collapses right in the spot, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't even get dust on your cab, you know? But the 87-story one that they keep going up with, and then they say in
Next
the
to a 60-story
2025, right, next to 2025, the guy says, no, we want a 127,000-story building, and this one has to come down. What are they going to do?
But maybe by then we'll learn to stop destroying things. I mean, we've destroyed so many beautiful things. It should not have been, I think.
I don't think you ever will.
Well, I walked around Chicago this morning, and the old buildings are certainly much more beautiful than these new ones. I mean, the architect and everything is much greater, I thought. I looked at the Wrigley building. It was so pretty, and it was next to some little ice cube that had just been built up. I don't think there's any comparison. I think we better
You're
stop.
hurting me right to the quick, Dick.
I am?
Because Chicago architecture is known the world around as some of the finest in the world.
Better than those older buildings?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I go for that.
Yeah, but that's an opinion, though.
But you know, you made a very significant comment because Frank Lloyd Wright once predicted that buildings would be 1 mile high, and it looks like we're approaching that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that the only way to get them down is when we have the nuclear war.
Yeah, that will
You
take
just
care of
have the nuclear war, and then they all flatten out, and then we start, not all over again, because we'll have some plans. I mean, I don't want to draw that picture.
Yeah.
But I'm just concerned, how are these things going to come down, Irv?
No, I think you got the best solution. Nuclear war. That's the only
No,
one.
Irv, I don't want a war now. Listen, I'm asking you a question. You've come on my show, and I'm asking you a question. How do you get the buildings down, Irv? Because there's going to be changes. See, your son is how old?
38.
38. Whatever was when he was a kid is going to come down.
Oh, sure.
It's going to come down. And then you're going to hear him saying, you know, the old high school that I went to and the thing, and they just tore it down. That's the whole thing about all of our lives. Whether it's the theaters we used to play, which are now whatever you call sleaze houses, they'll come back, may cost $7-8 million to redo them. People keep redoing these old theaters, and you keep walking out and looking up, and there's all this stuff up in the ceiling with a $400,000 chandelier and fake gilt going around the thing. And my point is that if I left the business when they closed Mr. Kelly's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, there's a new form of entertainment now.
Yes.
There's a new nightclub now. There's a new way of going at it. There's no more. You have more places for comedians to practice and grow today
Yes.
than you ever had
But
in
what
the
about
history.
what about the other performers? What about the variety performers? What about dancing acts? You know, because if I entered the business with my dad and uncle, and I'm taking us out of the 30s, the 20s, the late 20s and the 30s, and putting us into the 80s, and we wanted to get in show business, you know, and I'm with two older men. I may know breakdancing at the age of 19 or 20.
And people would love it.
But what would they do?
The people would love, your father and your uncle would do the old traditional, and then they would say, and now comes, look at this. And you would combine
But where would
tap
you
dancing
do
with
it,
the break.
babe?
You would do it on the street.
You want me to go
Break
on the
dance
street?
on the street, spin your little head.
My
on
little
the-
head?
I'm sorry, I don't. You wanted a big head? But I could see the whole family out there.
But I'm saying
doing
that in the old days, I'm only for the variety performer. You're absolutely right as far as the comedians are concerned and the singers. But I just regret that there, along with now, there isn't a Shapery, there isn't a Copa anymore, there isn't a place, there isn't a Ciro's.
There isn't
is
a Las
gambling.
Vegas.
No, I
Well,
know
this is
that.
gambling. But, I mean, without the gambling, there's no more nightclubs.
Yeah. How about Las Vegas being surpassed by Atlantic City? Whoever thought that would happen?
But that
Everybody.
figures, 'cause
Everybody
they,
that built
have all
a-
those big cities to draw from.
Oh, yeah, but I never
Vegas.
thought they would surpass Las Vegas.
Well, I'm afraid Las Vegas got egotistical.
Yes.
They
you're so
thought
right.
they were the only game in town.
Yeah.
And they were for a long time.
And they still are.
They got fat and...
I think you have to understand that they've changed their marketing. Do you understand that? They've changed their marketing. There's a man by the name of Bill Harrah who in the year 1801 knew that it was better to have somebody stand in front of the slot machine and give them a good payoff on that, and they would come back next year and also let them play bingo, than it was to have them sit there playing 21 or shooting craps or playing baccarat. And what Bill Harrod did was he'd bring people up in the buses, he'd come and get you, give you your money back you spent on the bus, and $1 for a free bet and a free drink toke. And the next thing, you spent $6 out of your money, and you went back home, and you felt that you had some fun. Well, these people in Las Vegas happen to now be doing the same thing. They tried to blame the entertainers, and my big argument with them was that they hadn't told the whole story. They were talking about the escalation of the salaries, and they used Dolly Parton, and they used her out of sync, man. And they said, $300,000 a week. Is the person worth $300,000 a week? Absolutely. If she's going to sell out your hotel, if your hotel is booked from room to room, and if they're getting $35 a head and a 900-seat room, 2 shows a night, 7 days a week, she's paid for what she's charging you. Because you got a casino drop that nobody's giving her any money from. You've got a coffee house drop that nobody's giving her any money from. You got a room service drop that nobody's giving her any money from. You've got the clothing stores, all the people she's drawing in to come and see her, where the week before, when she was there, nobody. You see, she's worth that $300,000.
And there's another point, Bill, that any entertainer, no matter what, it's your field or the sports field, he's worth whatever he can get. Whatever they can, the most they can get.
No, not really.
Yes,
Not
he is.
really. I'm talking about, no, Irv, I disagree. There are some who say, give me $200,000 a week, and the guy draws $30,000 worth of stuff.
Business.
Well, that's not why anybody's in the business.
That's not the.
We're not talking about
the
fault.
performer's fault.
We're not talking about fault. We're talking about who earned what. I'm saying that whatever your price is, if that's what you charge, then the people should be able to generate that and some. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm in favor of the performers and the stars getting whatever they can get. You know, people.
But that's
complain, why are you getting so much money? Well,
but that's why they were run out of town, because people like you were in favor of them, and they weren't.
That's not why they were run out of town.
No,
not at all.
They weren't earning the money. I'm telling you, Irv.
In other words, if you.
But the owners were at fault then. They shouldn't have paid them. That's what my point is.
No,
the
point of it is that it sometimes transcends what Bill says, and I can agree with you to a point, but I have to go along with Bill based upon the fact that I've been there and seen it. The guy says to you, Bill takes his own show in with him. I take my own show. There are a few variety performers that when you work Nevada or Atlantic City, you're allowed that carte blanche to book in who you want to book in. You don't have to check with the owner, the agency, nobody.
Yeah.
You take this person in and say, this is who's coming in with my show. And they'll say to you, take in, the club owner might suggest, why don't you take in this person? We owe them a favor. And you say, well, how much are they getting? And they say, they get $35,000. Now, they can't bring in $35,000 worth of business. Now, I'm talking about co-headlining. You understand what I'm saying? Now, they want you to pay. They sometimes match you. They sometimes say, well, you got the load. And you say, but what are they bringing in? If they bring in 15 people a night, you're lucky. So you say to yourself, why not bring in somebody that I'll know will give the audience a good show, who will open that show for me, give them great entertainment, because he's going to bring in just as much as this other person. That's what Bill means, to break it down into that kind of thing, meaning that all people are not worth all the money all the time.
That's a very good point.
You know,
Let me take you to an area which the whole nation is disturbed about, and your industry particularly, although I don't blame the show business any more than the other part of our society. The use of narcotics today has become so prevalent that the biggest businesses in the country are concerned about it. The Hollywood studios are concerned about it. The papers are full of it today. Belushi's story is being told in the book called Wired by Robert Woodward. How do you fellows feel? Is it getting worse or is it getting better as far as the use of drugs is concerned?
I don't know. I would first ask doctors, lawyers, accountants, who are all into drugs.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Unfortunately, Hollywood gets more attention than the
Yes,
others, but it's
but I mean,
prevalent
I
everywhere.
want to know about the doctors who go around going like this all the time, you know, and lawyers and business people. It's prevalent in our society. It's a shame that it is, and I'm sick and tired of people vis-a-vis what he said earlier about kids writing books about their parents. I think it's shameful that we can't let Bellucci or any of the people just be over there and remember them. And whatever it was, it was. But what motivates it? He's going to sell a lot of books, man. Yeah. He's going to sell a lot of books. And he's going to, by doing that, it becomes the domino principle. Oh, pa-pa-pa? Oh, really? Pa-pa-pa? Experimental. If you look at, from what I've read, proportionately in the industries, the sports people get a rap on it, and it's like the percentages infinitesimal, you know, as to what the cats who are straight. They don't get equal time. The straight cats don't get equal time with the other people. I think
Never.
they never get equal time. I mean, in the media, I think that we have a problem that we all must face one way or another. I don't think that we should go around panicking about it. I think that when I read something in the paper where kids are now putting down drugs in high schools and colleges, and they're into health more and all of that, somebody's motivating that, but it's coming from within the peer system itself. It isn't because I'm sitting here talking about it or you're sitting here talking
Bill
about
can be a great motivator in that area.
Well, I think Bill is.
Yeah.
I think by being himself, and I'm sure that he does his share, as all of us try to do.
Because
I'm just sick of hearing about it.
the Hollywood studios even have started clinics in it today to help those who are caught up in this.
And the cat that runs the clinic, man, is turning on more than the cat that's there to get help. You know, if you really try to be honest about it, well, don't blame the actor. You know, it's like Judy Garland. It only came out in later years that you got to lose weight, get her on the pills, give her a pep up to get her out there. And finally, all of that stuff tells on you, like a toll on me with booze. And then finally the doctor says to you, hey, man, and you go, wait a minute, do I like what I'm doing? Do I want to go out there and perform? And I didn't have to, you know. And I just said, that's the end of it. I quit. I quit drinking. Because, you know, you can go to therapy all your life, man, and go to all the shrinks in the world. If you don't want to do it, you ain't going to do it. And he said, I keep booze in front of me, keep it there. Have a free bar open at all times. Because to me, I've made the promise to myself that I'm not going to do it. And it's the same thing with drugs. If you want to break it, man, you will break it. You know, and my sitting up here telling a young kid, don't use it, he knows what he wants to do. But I can say to him, hey, I've used drugs and it wasn't good for me. That's what I can say. And that's what I do say. You know, but this whole jazz about it, go to this clinic, go to that one, they do good work. I'm not putting them down. Please don't understand me. They help. But if you ain't got it inside of you, inside the
they try to instill that you have to do it yourself.
I think what Sammy says is absolutely true. If the person doesn't want to help himself, there's nothing I have a relative who's an alcoholic, and I was going crazy for about 2 years, sending him to these different places and spending a fortune. And all of a sudden, they start to drag you down in the gutter with them. I mean, they have to want it themselves. Just stay away from them until they do it themselves. There's nothing you can do. They hurt you, and it's no good.
I have my son went, and during that experimental age, he wanted to, you know, he said, hey, Dad, I know you've been there, da. And I told him what had happened to me. And that's the only reference I could give to him. And thank the good Lord, all three of my kids. Beautiful.
Very lucky.
Lucky man, you know. But then on the other hand, it could have gone just the other way. Because I'm not there. You know, I am not there to guide. And even if you're there every minute, that ain't going to stop it. If you can hope that what you give your children will be of strength and of substance. And if they come to you, you can say to them, man, I don't think, it didn't work for me. That's what I mean. Now, I'm
Family
sure that
life
Bill
is-
has different ideas
well,
and everything else, and
Bill-
he was... No, I mean, he has a more qualified
Well, he
answer.
does a wonderful thing. He lives far away from Hollywood in Massachusetts.
But you don't
live
think
out
it's in
there-
Massachusetts?
Huh?
Oh, excuse me.
You live out there purposely, Bill, to stay away from the Hollywood life?
Well, it wasn't.
I mean, as far as your kids
No,
or family is concerned?
In the area of Massachusetts we live in, the drugs are highly and were highly prevalent. Everything was.
Mm-hmm.
I think I perhaps would have preferred at the time that the drugs were going through the schools that way. I would have preferred to have been in Hollywood, because the kids would have gotten a better grade of grass and cocaine.
Yeah.
I think that the stuff they were selling around the schoolyards was part oregano, part Johnny Smoker, and some other stuff. So the kids weren't getting ripped as much as the jaws.
They didn't feel deprived.
You know, the
did they?
muscles were pulling out. It was trying to suck up on things that were still wet, and you know, they just didn't know. It was stupidity. I moved to where I now live because my wife and I wanted the changes of the seasons, really and truly. And we wanted the feel of countryside. And we also felt that I was established and that I didn't have to be there. It wasn't a hatred for any of the people. It wasn't a hatred for smog or anything. We just felt this is a time in our lives when we can really do what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so my wife went to that part of Massachusetts and found this place, a heck of a deal, no hot, cold running water, $65,000, and she turned it into a $1.2 million estate in no time. What a wonderful woman, you know.
But it's so true that, for instance, case in point, my wife and I, Altavis and I, we've been married 14 years. And not the other day, a few months ago, I'm sitting, and I told Bill this, and I'm in Reno. And I love that area. I love where there's mountains and things, and I could get a couple of horses and ride, and you can look out in the ranch.
Where was that, Bill? Sam?
I'm Sammy. That's Bill.
Yeah. Where was that area?
Reno, Nevada. Between Sparks and Reno, and you do get a seasonal change, and I'm very much like him. I said, geez, I'd love to get a condominium in Beverly Hills so that when you come in, you have activities, you have an office, you have business. But that doesn't mean that I'm moving because there's a cat knocking on my door going, hey, baby, you want a hit? You know, that doesn't mean that. What it means is that for me at this station in my life, where my heart is with my business, but not that much anymore, for that, I'd like to enjoy my life as a human being. And right now, I love wearing Levi's and boots and sit up like this and say, bring in the other 50 heads. Mm-hmm. You know, no bodies, just the heads. You know, the old joke, boom, boom, you know. But I would love that, and see snow. Because when he told me about it, you know, and let me say something about Bill, if I may. Bill is the type of man that I observe, that Bill is the type of man that is truly what you said before. He's a Renaissance man, and he happens to be a man for all seasons, meaning for me that his flexibility is marvelous in certain areas, but also he is so family orientated that he thinks in terms of, man, there ain't enough ground here for my kids to run fishing and hunting, and they can see snow on the mountains. He's thinking about the true values of life. And sometimes, and he's got a magnificent home in Beverly Hills, always had a magnificent home in the various 2 or 3 houses that I've seen. But there is no space. You understand? Unless you want to move to Orange County. And I don't think nobody's going to do that.
Talking about family-oriented, Dick, I are noted for a very oriented family life with all your kids doing everything together with you and vacations.
Well, we've been very lucky. There's a lot of parents that have been terrific parents and they're having real hard luck with their kids. So we've just been very lucky, I think, you know.
You got good kids.
Yeah, they are. They're real nice.
They're
They have sense of humor. They
nice,
don't take themselves
beautiful
too
gentlemen,
seriously.
too.
Yeah, thanks
Good.
a lot, Sam.
I really mean that.
Yeah.
They used to get all their sneakers from cars. They all have the same size. I have little feet, but they have bigger feet than me, and so cars used to give them their sneakers all the time. They grew up
I
on
was surprised that their father was that broke. When I
Or has
saw-
so small feet.
When I saw his kid had a hole in his shoe, and I looked down and I said, "You're a Van Patten." and the kid went, "Yeah, Mr. Carter, yeah." I said, "But your father makes good money, certainly more than $28,000 a year." The kid said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what?" He said, "Well, I just play with these all, you know." And I said, "Well, let me get him." I sent him some sneakers,
Oh,
man.
a lot of
'cause I didn't know if Dick was doing this because, you know, it's discipline and you got to know what it's like to have a hole in the toe. How many kids do you have?
One. Yeah, I have
And
a-
where is the kid?
He's in Seattle. He's 27 years old, and he's a professional photographer, and he specializes in food photography.
Oh,
which is-
very, very
pleases
specialized
me
field.
very much. Oh, it's a great area, yeah.
So you can
He's
get
a
any
beautiful
food you
man.
want. He
Oh,
takes
I
a
get a
picture
shot
of
of
it.
it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you get a
Have
shot.
you ever seen them do a layout on food when they're shooting food, what they have to do? Because I did a cooking thing for Ebony, you know, because I cook, as you
Yeah.
know. But when they get a cooking photographer in and they have to spray it, they have to put various
God,
things in
you
it,
wouldn't
set it.
dare eat anything that
You
never
couldn't,
been photographed.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to leave now. This has all been fun.
I thought it was
Sitting
wonderful.
around
Let me
here,
ask
you know.
Dick a question now. You're in town to help
Yeah.
some youngsters get started with the talent search. and I
Right,
think it's
General
very-
Electric is doing a very nice thing. I'm kind of their spokesman. They're going from city to city. I'm going to Detroit next week, and we have this video van, and we park it there from 11 to 3. People come and audition, and we tape it, and General Electric sends the tapes. Anybody can go and audition. It's a terrific thing. Singers, dancers, jugglers, whatever you can do. And we send the tape to the show Star Search, you know, Ed McMahon's show.
Yeah.
And if they like the tape, they'll have those people on the show. So it's a nice thing that GE is doing,
Well,
I think,
I'm
and
not
I'm glad to
going
be
on
a part
there.
of it. Oh, you'd win.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be afraid somebody'd look in there, some young guy who's
Yeah.
never seen me before. Say, "Oh, that's no good. He didn't say a curse word or anything."
But
That's all right.
also, if you don't win, you can fill out a form, and you can win the video van. You go to any GE store, and you can fill out the form, and you have a chance to win this terrific
Talking
video.
about young talent, let me ask all of you, have you ever seen a young man with the success, tremendous financial and other success of a Micheal Jackson? Anybody in your career or yours that you remember as that age?
No, not me.
There was one fella, and he had a job. He'd come out. He worked with the Taiwan Chinese circus, and his job was. I'm very serious.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
Serious,
this
Dick,
is
come
no
on.
laughing
Yeah,
here.
don't laugh too early.
I was
Laughing here.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you.
Don't tell us. They're going to blame me. Don't tell us.
That's like one of the kids on your show. That's beautiful.
Taiwan circuit. I have never
No, seriously.
I have never in my life seen a phenomenon like it.
No, I go back to the days when Frank Sinatra started and all the Bobbies, but nothing like
Nothing.
Micheal Jackson.
Elvis, Frank,
With due respects, the two good talents combined never have done. He took an industry that was dying on its feet, turned it absolutely 360 degrees around to a profitable, everybody's getting snotty again in the record industry because of Micheal Jackson.
Oh, sure.
But he doesn't record for everybody.
I mean, his
But he helped the whole industry, though.
But he
What
helped
about the
whole
Beatles? Weren't the Beatles as huge? I mean, forget the fact that, let us remember that there today are more people than in 1963. The media handles more things. Like you've got this MTV, which belongs to the children. I mean, my 7-year-old saw a lady, we were walking down the street, and the lady had the blue hair shooting up to the sky and things coming out of her ear, and she had the leopard nose on and stuff. And my 7-year-old tapped me, she said, "Dad, MTV." you know, and the lady wasn't. So what I'm saying is there are more people, and more people get to see.
Right.
But the only thing that you're doing, Bill, excuse me, Dick, is saying, by comparison, well, did Caruso entertain more people than proportionately for his time than Pavarotti does now? Because Pavarotti's on television. Pavarotti's, you know, got all of the various things that weren't there. Like we have Michael has all the various things going for him now that wasn't there for the Beatles. But I'm just talking about on a one-to-one, who had the record the longest, how many did they sell? Nobody tops Michael Jackson as of this point.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I need.
Yeah, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that there are more people, that the media opens up, people get more excited. Had the Beatles come along and had the same thing today, it would be craziness, absolute craziness.
We don't know that, do we?
I do know that. I walk into my children, the 11-year-old and the 7-year-old's bedroom, and there's new wallpaper. It's Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
With Brooke Shields, without Brooke Shields, with Ronald Reagan, without Ronald Reagan, with Irv Kupcinent, with everybody he's with is Michael Jackson on the wallpaper. Underpants, little girls' underpants, little girls' T-shirts, little earrings. Well, I'm saying that he's at that time, and there will be someone come along later who will have, boom, it's that explosion that happens. The more people you have.
I hope it doesn't happen during my lifetime. I can't take 3 in one lifetime. No, I will. No, I
On that
can't
note,
stand the
gentlemen, we have to say goodbye. We thank you so much. Sammy Davis Jr. and Bill Cosby, both starring at the Holiday Star Theater, and Bill has a new NBC series coming up this fall, the new Bill Cosby Show. We wish
New improved.
and we wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you, Irv.
And here is one of the celebrated actors of our day, Mr. William Conrad, starring at the Drury Lane South Theater in The Man Who Came to Dinner, appropriately. And also he will be seen on public broadcasting in The Mikado this week. And this is Dick Van Patten, star of many, many shows on television, particularly 8 is Enough, we all remember. And Dick is representing Star Search and seeking new talent. Irv Kupcinent saying goodbye, and see you next week, same time and same place.